Hi students, today we will be doing lesson 2.1 on order of operations. This might be the first time that you are listening to one of my videos, so I want to make sure that you are also taking notes. So you should have your spiral open to the next page. You should put your title down. If at any point I'm going too fast, then you just pause the video and write down what you need to write down and then hit play. If you need to rewind it and listen again, then do that also. Okay, a few things we're going to go into before we start with order of operations is multiplication and division and the different ways you'll see the signs. So normally, like when you first learned multiplication, this is what it looked like, 2 times 1. Well, we can also say that with just a dot like this, and that's what we'll be using mostly in pre-algebra. We don't use the time sign, the X, because we're going to be working with variables and working with X's. Okay, you can also have it with parentheses like 2 times 1 like this. It can also be just 1 parentheses like this. That's still times. Okay, or the parentheses in front. All of these are times. So if you see anything like this, it means times. If it's just the variables, like A times B, they're just right next to each other, A times B. You can't do that with numbers because if you put 2 times 1, you can't say 20. It looks like 21 when you put them together. Okay, the other times one is if I have something like 30 divided by 6, this is what you're used to times looking like, but most of the time in algebra and pre-algebra, times looks more like a fraction. I mean, not times, I'm sorry, division. So this would be 30 divided by 6. So that's the way you see it. You will see it most of the time in pre-algebra. Okay, now moving on to order of operations. So lots of y'all have seen this. Lots of kids will say, oh, I know order of operations. It's PEMDAS. So let's talk about what PEMDAS is. You can write it going down like this, PEMDAS. Oops, I forgot. I like to do this a little bit differently. I do PE and then MD together and then AS together. So the PEMDAS. Okay, so let's talk about what these stand for and then we'll do some examples. So the P stands for parentheses. Okay, and then the E stands for exponents. Okay, the M and the D stand for multiply and divide. And this is where most kids get this wrong, is it's multiply and divide from left to right. So that from left to right is important, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, and then add and subtract is the same way. You do add and subtract. Either one, it's not add goes first and then subtract. It's add and subtract from left to right. Okay, and so let's talk first about that left to right part before we go on to the next part. Okay, if I had 7 minus 2 plus 8, okay, so some kids think adding comes first because in the words PEMDAS, the A comes first. But right here it says add and subtract from left to right. That's the main thing with adding and subtracting is you start on the left, then go to the right. So I would do the minus first because it's on the left. So I would have 5 plus 8. And then when I do that problem, 5 plus 8 is 13. If I had done it and did it with, when I did addition first, and I did 2 plus 8 is 10, then this is not right, right? 7 minus 10 is negative 3. That's wrong. That doesn't give me the right answer. So I want to make sure that when I have only addition and subtraction left, then I do left to right. And the same with multiply and divide. If I have multiplication and division, whatever comes first is the part I do. So I'm going to do 3 divided by 1 before I do the times 4. So this is 3 times 4, which is 12. Now, if I have all of this put together, so if I have 5 minus 6 times 2 plus 3, I don't know, I'm just making something up, is I don't go left to right. That's not how I do this one. Okay, this one is where you follow the PEMDAS. So I'm going to do my multiply and divide first. Well, my multiply is right here, 6 times 2. So I have 5 minus 12 plus 3, right? And now I have add and subtract. That's all that's left. So now I work left to right, okay? Okay, so we're not going to go through that one. I'm just trying to show you an example of what the order is. So now let's do some of the examples that are in the book. Okay, so you don't need to open your books for this. I'll have everything written down. But on example 1, it says evaluate. Okay, what does evaluate mean? It means to solve it. So evaluate 12 plus, and then parentheses, 9 divided by 3. Okay, so what am I doing first in this? Well, if you look back at the PEMDAS, the P comes first, which is parentheses. So that means you always do what's in parentheses first. So I'm going to do the 9 minus 3, divided by 3. So that will be 12 plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now I have 12 plus 3 is 15, and that's my answer. And we work going down in algebra. We don't go across, so just start getting used to that you're going to work down when you're doing these problems. Okay, the next one, example 2, says evaluate. I'm not going to write that again. Y'all know that we're solving these. So we have a bracket, then 12 minus parentheses, 2 times 3, parentheses, into the brackets, and then plus 4. Okay, so this is a lot of different things going on. But when you're working with parentheses, those are the same thing as brackets. They are a grouping symbol. Okay, so that means I'm grouping things together. So you're always we have this grouping symbols and we have these grouping symbols. So you always work on the inside out. So I'm going to do the 2 times 3 first. I'm going to leave these brackets here. And I'm going to go 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, leave everything else the same. So I did this part, right? Now I'm going to do what's in my brackets before I do the plus 4. So 12 minus 6 is 6. Then I have the plus 4. So my answer is 10. Okay? So just step by step to getting those order of operations done. Okay, example 3. Again, it says evaluate. We're just going to write this down. I have 7 plus 9 divided by 2 times 2. Okay, so if you look at this with the PEMDAS, I have an addition, I have a division, and I have a times. Okay, but this one, if you have a division like this, and there's operations on the top and operations on the bottom, you're going to do those like they are a parentheses. The division sign is a grouping symbol in itself. It's saying, do what's on top and do what's on bottom before you divide. You need to find those answers. So I'm going to do 7 plus 9, which is 16. And then I'm going to do the 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, that's just doing them at the same time because they're separate problems. I don't need to do the multiplication first and then the addition. They're separate problems on different, top and bottom. So I just did them at the same time. So now I have 16 divided by 4, right? This fraction. It's not just a fraction, it's division. So I have 16 divided by 4 is 4. Some kids will say, well, how do I know when it's a fraction or division? They're the same thing. So if you see a fraction and you can divide it like this, 16 divided by 4, then you just divide it to simplify it. Okay? Okay, next problem. Hold on just a minute. Let me turn the page in my book. Okay, next problem is 4 plus 3 times 7. Okay, let's do that. Example 4. This one's actually more simple than these other ones, but 4 plus 3 times 7. Okay, so this is a simple one where I'm going through the PEMDAS. I need to do parentheses first. There's no parentheses. Exponent, no exponent. So now I'm going to multiply and divide from left to right. I have a multiplication, so I'm going to do that part. I'm going to leave the 4 there, and I'm going to do 3 times 7, which is 21. Now I have 4 plus 21 is 25. And that's my answer. Okay, that's it for today. No, let's do some on your owns, okay? Because I want to show you how to do that when I'm doing videos, because I often do on your owns in videos. And actually, this one's going to be the skills check. So if you want to open your book to page 42, I want you to do numbers 1 through 4 and pause this video, go do 1 through 4, and then come back, and I'm going to have the answers for you on here. I'm actually going to work them out. So if you don't have your book, you can wait for just a minute, and I'm going to write down the problems on the board on this video. But then I want you to, oh, I'm sorry, I said 1 through 4, but there's actually 1 through 10. How about we do 1 through 9 odds, okay? And actually, don't even pause the video yet. Let's look at numbers 1 and 3 together. So number 1 says 6 plus 4 minus 2. In the question, the instructions say, write which operation should be performed first. Well, operation, that word operation, I'm going to put it up here. We already talked about it in class before, but it means plus, minus, multiply, or divide. Those are the operations in math. So they're saying, which one of these am I going to do first? Well, I have a plus and I have a minus. So which one am I going to do first? I'm going to do those from left to right. So that means add is going to be the one that I do first. Okay, now number 3 says 15 minus 8 divided by 2. So remember on PEMDAS, order of operations, we do parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, and then add and subtract. So I would not do the subtraction first, even though it's first on there. I would do the division first. So I'm going to write divide. Okay, now 5, 7, 9. I want you to pause this video, do them on your own, and then come back and we will check them together. Okay, so pause it now. Okay, you should be back from from doing these problems, and I'm going to write them all down right here in case you didn't have a book and you needed to just write these down. Then you can write these down and then pause. Okay. And the last one, number 9, is 14 minus 8 divided by 2. Okay, so there's my problems. I'm going to take number 5 and work this problem. If you haven't worked these yet, hit pause and do it now. Okay, on number 5, I'm going to do parentheses first. So that means I do 2 times 6 is 12. And then I do 12 minus 3, and that equals 9. So if you got that right, great. If you did something in a wrong order, you need to look back on what you did. Okay, now this next one has 2 parentheses, or a parentheses and a bracket. Remember, we're going to do the one inside the parentheses first, the one that's the most inside. So 2 times 3 is 6. So I have 12 plus 6 in those brackets. So now I'm going to do the brackets. 12 plus 6 is 18 divided by 9, and 18 divided by 9 is 2. Okay, and last one, number 14. I have a minus and a division. In my order of operations, it says to do division first. So I have 14 minus 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now I do 14 minus 4, which is 10, and that's my answer. If you want to go back and do the evens, I'm going to write out the answers right here. So you can hit pause. I'm not going to work them for you, but I am going to give you the answers just in case you wanted to do some extra work if you're not sure you quite know how to do it. So hit pause, go work the evens, and then you can come back and see the answers. Okay, the answers were multiply, divide, number 6 was 4, number 8 was 27, and number 10 was 17. Okay, if you didn't do those, that's okay. If you say, hey, I got this, I understand how to do it, then you can just start on your assignment for the day. But that's going to be it for order of operations and chapter 2, which we will be getting into some more algebra later on. Bye.